Since you're doing such an awesome job, you want to have a little blast from the past with, you know, who?
Oh, what?
Kid, man, lighten up. Pick whoever you want, as long as she says yes.
What the fuck?
Oh, crap. Are you okay down there? Your penis? I mean, that guy, he, clamped on it. Or is it? Put it down. I'm on it. But I'm gonna pass.
Oh my
I'm
god.
cool. Huh.
I was wondering if you're gonna say something about that.
Are you cool?
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's May Money back in here again, back in the building, here to talk with you about the episode 3 of The Walking Dead season 7 entitled The Cell. Yeah, come on and sit back and let's talk about what happened a little bit. So I'm here waiting for my reaction video to like convert and do all that stuff, so I thought I might as well knock out another video while I'm waiting for one to do its thing. Yeah, I just got off of work, and I don't work tomorrow, so I have a little bit of time just to stay up and, you know, have a PBR and some beef jerky or whatever and just kick it. And I wanted to get this video out for you guys as soon as possible before it became irrelevant. So let's just get right into it. I think I'm gonna start off with talking about Dwight first, because of this episode I feel like was mainly kind of centered around like through his perspective, like not all the way 100%, but there was a lot going on with Dwight, and I think that it's interesting that they want us to really learn about this character, even though we don't really feel like we need to, but I guess we do. From what they're trying to tell us is that we need to know a little bit of backstory on this dude Dwight. So let's talk about him a little bit. So the episode starts off with pretty much just the good life. I mean, they got TV in the apocalypse and everything. It might not be the best, but you know, Dwight's sitting there watching TV, and at first I was confused, like, what the fuck? Is this the show or is this another commercial? Like, why would they show the disclaimer for the kids and then go straight to a commercial? So I was confused at first, and then I was like, oh shit, it's Dwight, you know, watching TV. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the first time we've seen a television in being watched. I mean, I know they referred to it in like season 5 when Rick and them came to Alexandria and dudes were asking Carl if he wanted to play video games and stuff. But anyway, so yeah, Dwight's watching TV, sitting there making a sandwich, and you can kind of see a little bit about what's going on in the sanctuary with the with Negan's fools and how everything is run there, which I thought was pretty interesting. It was interesting to start with that whole montage. So that was pretty cool. We saw Dwight making a sandwich and these ruffians over on the side, and I guess killing this one dude to beating him to death because I didn't notice this the first time, but then I realized that Dwight was pretty much pillaging from the dead guy and took a note of who died so he could go take his stuff. And I'm pretty sure that's because some people were working for points, and he's one of Negan's dudes, so I guess he has privileges to go and do that. That's what I got from that. Let me know what you think. But yeah, so then we move on to you know, and I just like I don't really know the motives of this character. I still kind of don't. I don't really see like where he's gonna go. Like later in the story, I don't understand. Like, I still don't think that they've cleared up how or where Dwight's character is gonna go. Like, is he gonna be with Negan or against him? I definitely sense that Dwight is not really 100% feeling this Negan dude. So, I'm interested to see if he, you know, kind of like ends up rebelling against him or you know, starting an insurgency against him, or if he's gonna just 100% just break down and just be one of Negan's little bitches. You know, I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure, and I don't think they want us to know exactly where Dwight's going with that. But yeah, so and you know, in comparison to Daryl, you know, I feel like, well, let's talk about Daryl first. So, first of all, I was just like, fuck this, because Daryl is naked in a fucking cold, dark room with this fucking song, Easy Street, playing, which I still have stuck in my head. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be stuck in my head the whole entire fucking week until they place a new song that can get stuck in my head. But yeah, and they did that on purpose. I feel like that was a good song to choose when it comes to torturing somebody and also torturing the audience, because that is just one of those repetitive songs that you just cannot get out of your head as hard as you try. I mean, they don't even have to play that song over and over to torture somebody with it. I feel like, because it's just so repetitive and it just gets stuck and you just can't. I mean, it's still playing in my head right now, and I don't. That's why I didn't watch the episode a third time, not until later, because I can't right now. But yeah, and they've been doing that lately. They've been really trying to fuck with our emotions and fuck with our heads, and that's what Negan's been trying to do too. Anyway, but let's get back to it. So we saw Daryl in a cell. He's naked and bruised and just, I mean, broke my heart to see him. They're feeding him after Dwight makes his fucking apocalypse sandwich that looked hella good. Probably looked better than one of the sandwiches I've fucking eaten. Then he makes a dog food sandwich and feeds it to Daryl. And first thing in my mind is like, well, I feel like I've seen Daryl eat the same quality of food, like raw rats and snakes and possums and squirrels. So, you know, Daryl has never been opposed to, you know, eating something as long as he can survive. So, and that's why I love Daryl. That's why we all love Daryl, because he doesn't give a fuck, and he'll, you know, if you give him dog food, he'll eat that shit, and he'll still kill you with his bare hands afterwards. He kept, you know, he's strong enough to eat it and keep his strength, which I just love. But we really see him being like tortured, and you know, I feel like as hard as they were trying to torture Daryl, he was torturing himself, you know, like just accepting this and like not fighting back. Because I feel like if he really wanted to die, he would have attacked Dwight instantly. And if he really wanted to just end it, I thought, so what I think about this whole thing, even from the first episode, is that Daryl, I feel like he retaliated against Negan because he thought that Negan was going to kill him, and he was, you know, willing to sacrifice himself and take the attention off of Rosita, who wasn't really listening to him either. And he expected himself to die, but Negan killed Glenn, who was the first, I don't know, what do you call it, the first person that disobeyed his rules. So Glenn ended up getting that death. And I don't think Daryl was expecting that. I feel like he was expecting to be the next one to get Lucille. So now he's torturing himself because Glenn, if you don't recall, he said, you know, it's going to go wrong out here. Like way back in the woods, and, you know, and inadvertently, Glenn pretty much got killed for, you know, Daryl's mistakes and being out there in the first place. But I don't necessarily blame Daryl for that, because I feel like he was thinking about other people when he made that decision to punch Negan in the face. He wasn't just thinking about himself at that point. I feel like he was like, I'm going to take the next bat. I'm going to get my punch in, and I'm going to say goodbye to my homies and take the fall for his consequences. But it didn't work out that way, and now he's really torturing himself. I feel like the whole, you know, Easy Street and Negan trying to break him, you know, that that's not working because Daryl is using that torture to torture himself, if you get what I'm trying to say. It's hard for me to explain. I don't know. I don't have a huge vocabulary. Sometimes. Anyway, so let's see. Let's talk about Negan for a little bit. So I'm looking at my notes in my really, only I can read them and I can barely read them. But anyway, so let's talk about Negan and this motherfucker and his mind games. He is really, this episode really made me see how twisted and this fool is, and like how fucked up in the head he really is. I feel like he really thinks that he's helping everybody and that he genuinely thinks that he is a good guy and he is the good guy. But, and I just like, I don't understand, and I hope to eventually understand, but this fool, like, I really want to know what his problem is. Like, he has a serious issue. First of all, he think he's the king of the world, but if he didn't have all those fucking little bitches around him, all these guns and shit, then he wouldn't be shit. And Rick and Daryl and, Carl, Michonne, all of them, they would have fucking tore him to smithereens. And if it weren't for Maggie being in the RV during that time, then I don't think that they would have even really taken like that first group with Trevor from Grand Theft Auto. They probably would have blasted through them if they really wanted to go somewhere and took all their shit. Actually, Rick spared them in that moment. He was like, I was going to do the same thing to you, but I'm giving you a chance. But little did he know that there were more people out there, but if there weren't, and if Maggie wasn't sick at that moment, then they would have been fine. And they probably would have blasted through that group. So Negan's not as strong as he is without his minions. And that's his strong point. He has all these people. And that, that's what makes him so interesting. So at that moment where he's talking to Dwight, about like, oh yeah, you've been a hustler. You was hustling. So I'm trying to, give you a reward by, you can sleep with, have a blast from the past with his wife, Sherry, right? Sherry. And, hook up with the girl. And I thought he was going to be like, okay, yeah, whatever. But then when he said no, I was like, oh, you know what? Dwight did the right thing. He did the smart thing because he's pretty much being put to a test. I feel like Negan tests people and tests their loyalty to him, and I think that Dwight has kind of like a one-up on Negan when it comes to the way that he's thinking. Like not a one-up, but like he knows better than to go and sleep with one of his wives. Apparently, he has more than one wife, so he got bitches, and he's offering Dwight to fuck with one of his bitches if they say yes. So he has to have game as well. But if he doesn't, too bad. But yeah, Dwight was like, "No, I'm gonna go outside on the road and go fetch your thing, which is another guy that doesn't want to be there." This motherfucker. So in the meantime, Daryl has been giving clothes, and this fat, dumb, retarded person comes in, feeds him the dog food sandwich, and then leaves the door unlocked. Or did Daryl find a way to stuff it? I don't know. But seemed like the fat dude left the door unlocked. Now they have a freaking savage infiltrator on their hands. Luckily, Negan has all these fools because, I feel like if Daryl would have got a hold of some type of weapon, it would have been bad for a couple of them homies up in there. Them savers wouldn't have been able to be saved from that shit. So Daryl's on the loose, and then he runs into Negan. And Negan's like, and Negan number 1, and Negan number 2, and Negan number 3. and bitch number 4. And he's like, oh, you have 3 options. You can be a spike. You can work for me as a dead dude on the fence, as a head on the spike or whatever. You can work for me by putting people on the fence or working for points, which I guess is just people that use their skills to make points to be able to trade and buy things that they need. That's what I got from that. So you have to like work to get stuff, right? Anyway, that's what I think that is. And then, or you can work for Negan and be like, I am Negan. I am a little bitch. And then you can get a nice room and everything. But honestly, all of them are prisoners. Dwight is definitely a prisoner. He just is living in nicer quarters, but he's still imprisoned by this guy. So, I mean, I guess you just choose what kind of prisoner you want to be. Do you want to hold on to your will and just be like, okay, I'm just going to die like this. I'm going to torture me. Like, I'm not going to let this fool win, suck my nuts, take Lucille, whatever. Or do you just want to give in to what this dude is saying, be a little bitch, and go out like a bitch with nice things? What do you want? And do you really want to be in the apocalypse? I mean, why do all these material things matter at that point? Well, I mean, I could see. It depends on your situation. It depends on what happened to you, like with Dwight. So let's go into what happened to him and with his wife, Sherry, who seems to like Daryl, which just poor Dwight. Let's talk about Dwight a little bit more. So he tried to escape with his wife and his wife's sister, Tina, who was the diabetic. And then they ran into Daryl, tried to rob Daryl. Daryl came back and helped. Tina laid on the ground and got ate by a burnt walker. And then they leave, come back, and I guess Negan's not fucking with it. So then he's like, oh, I'm going to kill Sherry because she was my hot wife or was your hot wife or whatever. I don't know, some shit like that. And then Sherry just says don't kill Dwight. Dwight says don't kill Sherry. Sherry becomes Negan's wife. At the end of that, so y'all know what happened. But yeah, so Dwight ends up being one of his top guys with a burnt face, which is crazy because he's pretty much like he's just forcing everybody to do things, for other people. So that's what I'm saying with the whole prisoner thing. If you say, like with Dwight, he is a prisoner, like with all these good things because he was forced into that position of being like a top guy because he cared about his wife not dying and being taken care of. Daryl, on the other hand, is choosing his imprisonment because he doesn't feel like he even deserves it. Like, that would be a selfish thing that he was doing, because he's thinking about, the guilt and all the stuff that he has on his chest about the whole situation in with Negan. He doesn't feel like he deserves that he can even take that type of thing. He feels like he should die and, should pay his price because of what happened to Glenn, who was just kind of like an innocent bystander at that point. So I feel like he's just feeling so much guilt, like that he doesn't even deserve to have any of these rooms or anything. He deserves to live like an animal until he dies. And he's just really not afraid of dying and at all. From this episode, like he didn't flinch anything. Like he just, except for that one point where he cried, but that just made it even more clear that he was feeling so down and so guilty and so heavy about the whole situation. Probably even further back with Denise and all that. So, he doesn't care if he dies. He expected to die a long time ago and he's still alive. And like what Rosita said, like, it's living with the things that you've seen. That's the hard part. Like, the dying isn't the hard part. It's the living with the things that you've seen that's the hard part. So Daryl feels like he deserves all of this shit that he is going through and all the dog food sandwiches that he feels like he deserves it. That's what I'm getting from this whole thing. Then we also have the whole Negan taking a shine on to Daryl. And I just find this so interesting because Negan is all about breaking people and breaking them so that they'll do whatever the fuck he wants them to do. And to that point where they're just one of his little mind drones. But he just became more and more and more frustrated with Daryl because Daryl was not breaking, and I don't think he is gonna break. I think, and he doesn't want to kill Daryl. He really doesn't. He wants Daryl to pretty much. He wants Daryl on his team so bad. I feel like he finds Daryl to be a challenge for him, like one of those challenging, kind of perplexing kind of people. He just cannot. Whatever he does, he can't get him to break. And that is just frustrating. You could tell when Daryl said, he was like, who are you? And he was expecting Daryl to be like, I'm Negan. Now he was like, I'm Daryl. Or he said, Daryl. Daryl doesn't say shit, but just two words, 3 words at a time. But, yeah, and then he was just you could see that he was just frustrated with him. And he was like, damn, this motherfucker just doesn't give a fuck. Even more than I don't give a fuck. There's somebody in this world that doesn't give a fuck more than me. And Negan is supposed to be top dog. And honestly, Daryl is kind of threatening Negan's power by just having that type of willpower. And then, meanwhile, Dwight is trying to be like Daryl. He's a wannabe, trying to be like Daryl, wearing his vest, breaking his bike, can't use a crossbow. Sherry kind of seemed like she remembered Daryl, and so, I feel like there's some admiration and some jealousy and some pretty much Dwight wanting to be Daryl and be more like Daryl, or finding a lot of similarities between the two. Yeah. I also want to throw this in. I love the part. I love how funny Negan is. He's just hella funny, but he's a straight up asshole. Just assholian of the world. I can't stand him. I really can't. But that fool be cracking jokes. I'll give him that. Other than that, he can go die in the most horrible way ever, because he's really just think he the hot shit. And he, if he didn't have all those people with him, he'd be caught slipping. Like Rick or freaking Carol. Carol would fuck him up. I also like the part where he was talking about Eugene biting Dwight's dick. That was hilarious. I was dying laughing. I'll probably put that at the beginning of this video to show you how hard I was laughing. And I was just waiting. As soon as it happened in whatever episode that was, Twice as Far or whatever, when Eugene bit dude's dick, I was like, I wonder if Negan finds out about this, and I want to know what Negan, I'm pretty sure Negan would fucking be hella laughing at that shit. Like, bruh, you got your dick bit off by Eugene. I knew he would be fucking laughing at that shit. I knew it. I also think that Negan, sometimes he reminds me of somebody that's from my hometown. Like, just some of the little things that he says. Like, he was like, what I say? I say I'll shut that shit down. I was like, what? You sound like you're from fucking Oakland, bruh. And then he was like, Daryl, go get this fool, or Dwight, go get him a straw. What the fuck you doing? Like, what are you doing? Go get him a straw. And then he was like, oh, it's not my fault. He made a dumbass decision. I was like, man, you sound like you from the fucking town, dude. You just sometimes remind me of somebody that I would, if they're from Oakland, born and raised, they would say exactly that phrase, which is just funny to me. Just to throw it in there. But yeah, so what did I like about this episode as a whole? You know, the way it made me feel was pretty interesting. Like, I liked the episode, but I also just felt horrible for Daryl. Like, just everything he's going through is just the worst of the worst, you know? And, like, after that horrific scene, they just threw him into a dark van and then threw him into a dark room. So all he was thinking about is the last thing that had happened in this dark room with naked with, you know, it's just horrific, the things that he's going through right now. It's really hard to watch. And then Easy Street, I don't like that song. I mean, it's already torture enough just to hear it in the episode over and over again, so I can only imagine what the fuck Daryl's going through. So we saw a lot about what's going on with Negan's crew, and there's definitely a lot of people that aren't fucking with him, and they're not fucking with them people that live there. So yeah, that is interesting, and that will become more and more interesting as time goes along, because it's only a matter of time before that stops working. Like, people are gonna start turning against you, and it's just gonna come a fucking war. Like, people will still be on his side. It's just people are gonna be on one side or the other, and it's just gonna be bloody. And then we have next week, the little promo was pretty fucking cool. Like, I'm really interested on what Michonne was doing. And you know, I fucking am down to see what the fuck Michonne gonna do. They gave her back her sword. So, yeah, she's still gonna be slicing fools. And I'm excited because Michonne's fucking badass. And Negan doesn't know, like, he still left some pretty badass people alive. Like Sasha the sharpshooter, Michonne the samurai slayer, Carl, the future serial killer, and Jesus is still out there. What happened to Jesus anyway? He coming back? You know, there's still a couple badasses in the brewing. Eugene's gonna start making bullets. So we're not done. And are they gonna bury a bag in the woods? I'm pretty sure they're gonna bury a bag in the woods. That's pretty much their go-to plan. That's the first thing I'm gonna do when they get back to Alexandria, is bury a bag in the woods. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for next week. That's pretty much, did I cover everything I wanted to cover? I tried. Let me know what you guys thought of the episode. Let me know what you think about what I think about the episode. I might do another one trying to get deeper into some of the themes of it, but we'll see. I wanted to get this out. You know, I was tired on Sunday night. So I started editing in the morning, everything, and then this one's at 90%, and then I'm gonna upload this one, and I still have work and shit, so. But I have tomorrow off, so I should be able to do maybe another video if I feel like it. Maybe I'll watch it again and go a little deeper, or not even put this one up and just do another one. Anyway, yeah, have a good one. I'll see you guys next time. Cheers. See you next week. May money out the building this time.